There is a fifth dimension beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition. It lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is a dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the level 99 zone.
I forgot the Twilight Zone theme, so I just
Oh no.
or otherwise.
Or otherwise. Well, greetings, Marco. It feels like only yesterday we were recording a similar podcast, and now here we are today recording podcasts.
Huh, that's really weird. It feels like deja vu. I have been in this place before.
It's just the magic of the internet. You never really know when or where or why anything happens.
Actually, Brad's recording this last week, and I'm recording this next week. So it's like we're in this weird temporal balance.
Yeah. Marco, the next thing you're going to say is we're in this weird temporal balance.
Ah! Zowarudo, no!
Nani?
Here we go again with the shonen anime. Oh, man. Oh my gosh.
But, well, how else would I be able to record a week in advance?
That's true. Yeah, only with Zowarudo would you be able to do that. Oh my gosh. Speaking of certain anime, I just recently finished all released chapters of that golfing shonen anime.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, it's so fun. There's a guy who his power is that he can hit the ball really hard. So every time he swings the bat, there's a giant explosion.
You know, this is I mean, I guess this is just the inevitable conclusion of shonen anime. Like, you know, there had to be one about golf eventually.
No, Brad. The inevitable conclusion to shonen anime is that there's going to be a shonen anime about making shonen anime. Right?
I'm pretty sure that already exists.
Oh, no. Oh, no. He is the master of romantic comedies.
Is it like I don't know, like Speedgrapher or something? That's about an anime production studio.
Oh my god! But it's not a shonen anime. They don't have absurd shonen anime powers.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it, so I don't know. I just assumed it must be.
Oh my gosh! All right, Brad. How are you?
Anywho.
How are you on this wonderful morning that may or may not be shonen?
Yeah, I'm doing well. How's your shonen anime evening, Marco?
It's quite wonderful and quite amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Brad, you know, dilly-dallying aside, I know that we're both busy boys, and I think it's very prudent that we tell our listeners that welcome to the Level Cap Podcast, where we have a wonderful docket for you all tonight. Though it may not be different, it will still be the same.
Yeah, except that this time it's the level 99 zone, so it is different, in fact, and not the same.
Haha, but because we're in the level 90,
changed.
But this is because we're in the level 99 zone, it being different means it is the same.
Yeah, but everything's changed. Like, for example, I'm actually Marco, and Marco is actually me.
I'm actually Brad, but I'm being played by Ryan Gosling. You just never knew. Secretly, I'm Ryan Gosling. I just really make this really good Marco impression of doing Brad.
Yeah. And I'm being played by Liam Nielsen, because obviously that's who would be picked to play me.
Oh yeah, of course, obviously. This is the first choice. Like, what came into my head was like, if we ever made a level 99 games movie, it would be Liam Neeson. That would have to be Brad. Absolutely.
Yeah, by the way, Marco, hold on, I have to go save my daughter.
Oh. Okay, but Brad, wait. I don't know who you are, but I will find you. I have a very special set of skills. They involve making and creating board games for consumption and capitalism.
I see.
Okay, no, but seriously, Brad,
okay.
I really want to know. Let's move on to our next segment. As usual, I ask, what have you been doing?
I've been playing a lot of Imperial Spells and Steam. That's been, I've been playing a lot of board games, a lot of test board games in general. Imperial Spells and Steam, probably the one I played the most, followed closely by 7th Cross. So that's what I've been up to for the past few days. a lot of playtesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's it? Just playtesting?
Just playtesting.
So how's Imperial? I recently saw that article you just put up on the Level 99 Games website, link for which can be found in the description down below. And it talks about the new engine system. I found that to be very interesting. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'm still not exactly sure how it all pans out. I think that's a big problem with some of these like preview posts is that it makes me want to learn more, but you haven't posted the concrete rules, so I don't know how everything works all together.
The rules are finished. The rulebook is finished. Laura is cleaning up the graphics. By the time this episode airs, the rulebook will be available.
Ooh.
So, yeah, so you'll just be able to download it and read it. You can find the link in the description below. Thanks, Marco.
Oh, yeah, sure. Wait, rules? All the rules?
Yeah, the rulebook. I mean, it won't be 100% final. There's still a few things we're balancing, but it's like everything about how to play the game, including diagrams and component lists and etc. That's all going to be in the rulebook.
Awesome. So it won't be 100%, but it'll be enough.
Yeah. It'll be pretty close.
All right.
There'll still be things like insert list of playtester names here, that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. Sadly, I will not be on that list because I guess Euro games just aren't my forte. Has never won a game of Argent.
I mean, you can still play it. It's different than Argent.
Really? I mean, like,
yeah.
If I'm bad at Argent,
sim and play sometime.
Oh, we should. We should stream that. We should stream that.
That would be good.
Okay. Oh man, that's
Cool.
really fun. So.
Well. Let's see. What else is going on in the world? Aside from the updates to Imperial, which are coming out every week now until we launch the project at the end of April.
Yay!
We got proofs for Temporal Odyssey for Professor's Treasure Sky Castle, and I have a landing date for Argent and Exceed Season 2 and Noir Automata. All those games are coming in on the 10th of April.
Ooh, big news!
They'll probably be So it'll probably be about 2 weeks between when the boat unloads and they get to our warehouse, and then a few days before they get from our warehouse to you.
Ooh. Hey, I'm so glad. I cannot wait.
I'm pretty excited too. It's going to be fun.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, China should be getting them like yesterday, actually. And let's see, Australia, I think, gets them in 3 days. And then Europe, they have to wait an extra 4 days. Canada, I think, is also a little bit more. Maybe there are like 4 more days.
Okay, wait.
So
for the listener, this is just for the listener's benefit, but we recorded this on April 5. So like, keep that in mind. Now. Keep that in mind. So like when this episode comes out, most likely all of this is old news to you.
Yeah, that's true. If you're filing updates, we'll have posted a new update by then telling you what's happened.
All right, are you okay there, Brad? So, it seems like you got
yeah. No, I had a yawn attack. Sorry,
a yawn. It's your shonen power. I'm sorry.
Yeah. What kind of a shonen power is it to yawn? Like, even Kirby doesn't like getting sleep power because he just falls asleep.
No, but you yawn on
command. It's totally useless.
Okay, here you go. You can yawn on command, and because of it, because yawns are contagious, you can make other people yawn. But because you're so used to yawning, it doesn't affect your fighting capability. But you can make people yawn at inopportune times, and then it turns you invisible, and then you can shoot the basketball, right?
I guess that's what has to happen. Although I'd probably like spin the board around and change sides of my opponent or something.
Exactly. We should really just have a shonen board game anime. That would be great.
A shonen anime about playing board games? What?
Yeah. What's that?
One of the things I do want to do is to get a full manga intro for BattleCon Devastation Remastered. Like a full manga of Schecter and Elgor battling that teaches how to play the game.
Ooh, that would be so cool.
The old tutorial comic was just a bunch of still images, but it'd be cool to revamp it as like a full illustrated thing.
Oh, and you can get the guy who made the VCO arts to do it. Oh, that'd be so cool.
I could have Mosh do it. That's true.
Right? It like the way they do the way they do shots, the way they do the action shots in all of the styles makes it looks like very manga-esque. So
yeah. Mosh has a really manga-esque style. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm quite happy with that. And BattleCon Online. I made it to round 3 of the tournament. I failed to lose, so I'm in for another round.
Oh yes,
My third battle will be tonight. So
Brad's gonna
wish
take
me
it all
luck.
all the way to the championships. All the way to the
I hope
championships.
not. I hope somebody knocks me out because I'm not allowed to win prizes, and I also have unlimited coins anyway. So
Well, I don't know. Maybe you get the biggest prize of it. Biggest prize of all. Friendship.
with all the people that I beat, I don't understand.
Remember?
You get friendship whether you win or lose. So
No,
you get more friendship when you win.
You get more friendship when you
Or
win.
more friendship when you lose.
No, you get more
You get
friendship,
more friendship when you lose.
No, you get more friendship when you win because when you beat a guy who hates you, right? And then you beat them, they gain this respect for you, and then they become your durotagonist.
Durotagonist?
What, like protagonist, then durotagonist, right?
I see.
Right? Like, yeah, that's an actual term.
Okay, I believe you.
Yeah, dude. I said whatever, man. It's just the second fiddle. The second fiddle is called the durotagonist, and then there's the third one, who's like tritagonist or something.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Literary terms.
You're my durotagonist, Marco.
Exactly. I mean, I will not even contest that. I am your
what, really?
Yeah, I am your squire to your Don Quixote.
Nah, we could be equal status. We'd be brotagonists.
Bro
fist.
Brotagonist. Bro fist. All right. So, bro, are you going to ask me what I've been doing?
Nah, I think we just skip that and save a little time and move straight on to the pipeline.
Oh, jeez.
What have you been doing, Marco, besides finishing up your golf manga?
Okay. I have been listening to a very interesting podcast. Because it is called Hello from the Magic Tavern. It's a very, very fun podcast. All of the people on it are improv artists / comedians. And the entire story of the podcast is this. There's a guy named Arnie, and he had podcasting equipment with him when he fell through a magical dimension portal behind a Burger King. And he ended up in a Tolkien-esque fantasy land called Foon. But luckily,
I feel like I've heard of this.
Yeah, luckily,
I think I've heard of this one before.
Luckily, he still has some Wi-Fi seeping through the magic portal, so he decided to create a podcast in this fantasy world, and broadcast it to the people in our world, so that we get to know more about this magical fantasy world. So that's Arnie, and he's joined by his two co-hosts, Chunt, who is a magical talking badger, who is actually a shapeshifter. And a wizard. Okay, wait. I have a reference document for his name because it's really long. So, a wizard named Usador, wizard of the 12th realm of Ephesius, master of light and shadow, manipulator of magical delights, devourer of chaos, champion of the great halls of Tarakas. The elves know him as Fian Yalak, the dwarves know him as Zunanin Hustanges, and he's also known in the northeast as Gasmuenus Maystar.
I see.
Yes. And they basically just talk about random stuff. I mean, like, it's not necessarily a for kids podcast, maybe like teenish.
Yeah.
You know, there's some swearing and stuff. But it's really fun. I mean, like, they just spend most of their time, like Arnie just spends most of his time talking to people and trying to understand what funny stuff there is. It's cool. It's a really fun podcast, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I guess it sounds a little bit like Discworld. You know, where they take all this fantasy stuff to its logical conclusion, and it's hilarious.
Discworld.
Yeah.
I don't know Discworld. What's that?
You don't know Discworld? Marco, this is like one of the most famous book series ever.
All I see are turtles.
Yeah. There's the world is on the back of a turtle.
Is this a flat Earth?
Yeah, it's a flat fantasy world.
Uh-huh. Oh, Discworld, of course.
Yeah, you haven't seen... Yeah, you know Discworld, right?
Brad, no. I do not.
Really? Oh my gosh. All right, well, Discworld is a very famous novel series written by the now late Terry Pratchett.
It was written by Terry Pratchett? Okay. How do I
You
know
know Terry Pratchett,
Yeah,
but you
exactly.
don't know Discworld.
How
Discworld
do
is like the most famous thing he ever wrote.
How do I know Terry Pratchett but not Discworld? What the heck's wrong
Yeah,
with
how
me?
do you? I didn't know that was possible.
I don't know, man.
Goodness. Oh my goodness. Marco.
I'm
Killing
sorry.
Killing me, Marco.
Okay, you know what? If I wanted to, where should I start with this? It looks really interesting.
Well, start at the beginning. I believe the first one is The Color of Magic.
Okay, so just give me a quick, like, a primer. What's this world about? Like you said, take it to its logical conclusion. That means it's absurd.
a fantasy world. It's a fantasy world that has taken all of the like fantasy tropes to their logical conclusion. Right. So for example, like you know how there's always this what's a good example? I'm trying to think of like great examples of the thing. Okay, so there's like like mimics, right? Like there's treasure boxes that attack people.
Yeah.
So there's this one guy in the first book, and he shows up, and he's got this like this luggage that like follows him around as a pet, and it has all his stuff inside. And the luggage also just randomly eats people, and they disappear forever. So basically, he's got this trained pet mimic that manages all his stuff for him, and it's really convenient. But it's that kind of thing, right? Like something that in a fantasy world you'd see this as a monster, but given enough time, clearly people would domesticate and make them useful, and etc.
Oh,
I don't know. That's probably a bad example, but it's kind of the idea. Like there's one point where they invent the movies. There's a point where they invent like newspaper, stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I'm not very good at selling this. I'm not as good at selling these things as you are with selling podcasts, but it's really good. Trust me. This world.
So it's kind of like, okay, I understand now. It's like, what if we had a fantasy world where people, because I feel like fantasy worlds stagnate in the sense that like they have to stay medieval for the sake of being called a fantasy. You know what I mean? Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So it feels kind of like Indians-esque in a way. Except probably way better written. No offense.
Wow. Zing.
Zing.
Yeah. That's all, folks. I'll see you next week.
Well, that's all, folks. Okay, no, but seriously though, I feel like, were you inspired by this when you made Indians? It's
yeah. There's definitely some Discworld inspiration.
Yeah, I guess it's like the way you took elves and ran to the end with it, right? Like, what if we just like what if elves continued to be elitist immortal beings for like a long time?
That's pretty typical in fantasy, but like the idea that your elves like develop a technological empire because they never die, and so they're able to get really really smart with long lives. Like that's something that that I think is fairly original to Indians. It's probably been done before somewhere.
Exactly, and I feel like that's one of the best parts of Indians. I love Williot. It's like such a great story thing. It's not a great country, of course. Everybody is like either under the thumb of the technocracy or dying poor, but like, hey,
yeah. But there's certainly some inspiration in there. Let's see. But anyway, Discworld's a cool series. You should read it. It's great.
Are there audiobooks?
I'm sure people in the comments will give us like some of the better examples of why the series is so great. The characters are great. The situations people get into are great. The plots are pretty awesome.
Oh man!
But yeah,
how many books are in this series? I'm so behind
like
my
20 or 30. It's huge.
Oh jeez, I'm so behind my reading. All right.
Well, add it to your list. Put it on. Get it on Audible or something.
Yeah, I probably should. So that pretty much does it for what we've been doing. If you guys want to suggest something for us to do, please tell us in the comment section down below, and we'll get to it. It'll be fun. I mean, like, we love sharing media with you guys.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Sorry, I mean, like, something came up. Like, I started like, I don't know what you call it, but like in Filipino we call it nabubulunan, where it's like something's in your throat, but there's nothing actually in your throat. You know that you get that feeling. I don't know
the what. Say that again.
Like you're talking, and then suddenly it feels like something's in your throat, like maybe like an air pocket or like saliva or something.
Is it like the boo balloon? Like what did you say?
No, that's a Filipino word.
Yeah, what's the word? I'm asking you to repeat the word.
Nabubulunan.
Bubulunan.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
I don't know what it's called, but yeah, it's like I guess you could say like I'm swallowing my own tongue, or like cat's got my tongue, or something like
see.
that. Yeah,
Okay. I guess that's pretty
tongue-tied.
similar. Yeah. Cat's got your tongue.
Yeah. Tongue-tied, I guess.
Tongue-tied.
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
happened to me. That's what happened to me. So that's what happened. All right. So if you guys want us to partake in any piece of media that you enjoy, perhaps tell us, and we will get to them as soon as we can. So long as it's practical, don't make us watch. I don't know. Don't make us watch the second season of Haruhi Suzumiya. Neither of us would enjoy that. So.
That first season was okay. I didn't know there was a second one.
So in the second one, so there's like 20 something episodes in it. In the second one, 8 episodes are literally the same episode, except they changed.
Oh, I think I have heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, except they changed like the colors of people's shirts.
Huh. Yeah, that does sound pretty awful.
Yeah, it's atrocious. All right, so now that we're done with that segment, let's move on to our next segment. Brad, this is what I like to call. Can I rebrand this segment to
Sure. Go ahead.
To Brad's
Brand
choice.
your worst.
Brad's choice, where Brad gets to pick between a pipeline, a character of the week, or whatever he wants because it's his choice. Brad, what do we get this week?
Okay. Let's see. So this week I would like to talk a little bit about the development process for. Let's talk about Imperial, because that's coming along pretty soon, and people may want to know how that's working out.
Sorry, you said Imperial. I have to do it. Choo choo.
What? Sure, that's fine.
All right.
Choo choo. Well, so Imperial is a railway game set in the world of Indians, designed by designer of Argent, illustrated by Nokomento. It is kind of the sequel to Argent, at least in the timeline, though not in mechanics or any kind of relationship like that. Imperial is a game about building railways across a fantasy world and using your own customized railway company, which features all of the exciting faces from across the world of Indians. Everyone you know is back. Luke is back. Clive is back. Tanis is back. All the characters
back
from
the future.
That we loved. Well, no, he's not back from the future. He's back from the past.
Dang it!
As in, he moved forward in time the same rate as everybody else to get to this new era.
I guess we all time travel technically at a rate of 1 second per second. So.
Yep. Time marches on. Okay. Anyway, so but like a bunch of new characters there, and you can also the leaders of their companies are characters you might recognize as well. Like Runica is now in charge of a train company. Seth is now in charge of a train company. One of the leaders is one of the Malafay sisters. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in these trains. And the trains themselves have a lot of character. We've got ghost trains. We've got like diesel trains. We've got like bullet trains. We have trains from space. We have underground burrowing trains. We have caterpillars with gondolas on their backs. Like, there's all kinds of crazy stuff in this game.
Is there a wrestler train?
Fun. There's not a wrestling train, although I guess the caterpillar trains could wrestle with you.
I mean, can they suplex the ghost train?
They do in lore. Like that's how the story ends. The caterpillar trains have to fight the ghost trains in this epic final battle.
Yes, canon. He suplexes the goat train. He suplexes the goat train. Canon.
Yep, suplexes it straight back into the afterworld.
Yep, indeed.
Just kind of like dunks it.
Oh my gosh.
Like, but first he turns invisible.
We're never gonna live this invisibility thing down.
It's too much.
It's too much. All right, okay. So, we talked about Imperial before, right? So,
yeah.
What's a recent development that's happened?
So, a couple of recent developments on Imperial. Well, right now we're in. I guess what I'd say is we're in the development stage. In the last bit's the development stage, and I guess I want to talk a little bit about this so that people kind of understand what that entails and what it all is. So, in the development stage is when we're playtesting the game. Not to change any rules or to do any more future alterations, but just to make sure that the players are starting, the starting positions are right, the number of cities on the board are right, the number of, victory point tiles on the board are right, the train cars are not overcosted or undercosted, the character powers are about the right level. So we are playing, and every play that we play, we record, all the different variables of the game, and we kind of data mine that to say, all right, well, it looks like Caterpillar actually wins 50% of the time, so we're going to have to tone down their ability a little bit. Or it looks like, Gesselheim is not actually viable, even if you're really good with them, so we're going to have to give them a bit of a buff.
So it's like
That sort of
balancing.
thing. Yeah, so it's the balancing steps, and also I would say like playability, because we don't just balance for balance, but we do balance for fun too. So at the end of the game, we ask everybody like, what would your rating for this game be? And we look at fun factor, and then we we try to choose the combination of variables that's going to maximize fun factor for players.
Oh, that's good to know.
So at the end of each game, I say like, hey, what would your BGG rating for this game be? And then we all, give a number rating, and we try to use that to figure out what the game, like how close to complete the game is. I like to hear consistent 9s before I say, oh, this game's finished. So we're working to, to get the game into that shape.
So what are you getting right now?
I'm getting like 8s and 8.5s. So I think we're very close. It's really a matter of, how tightly the cities and the board are placed.
I see.
That's
okay.
What's the most difficult part right now, is figuring out how to space the cities on the board.
Oh, is it like variable startup too?
It's not really variable startup. Well, I guess it's what you call like fake modularity. The board tiles can be arranged any way you want, but that doesn't really change the fact that they're just a bunch of hexes with different terrain types on them. So if it's arranged one way versus another way, the game doesn't really change. What changes the game is when you play with different companies or with different central metros, which are kind of like the big cities in the middle of the board, or if you try out different specialist pools, that kind of thing.
What's a specialist
really
pool?
Makes the game feel
Whoa, what's that?
So in the game, there are three things you can do to build up your company. You can get more mana, which is just like the resource you spend to do everything. So you can get more economy. You can get more engines, which determine how you're able to place and act on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get specialists. And specialists are like the people from the world of Indians who work for you, and they each have abilities they provide throughout the game.
I see. So they're kind of like the supporters in Argent. Kind of,
yeah. Yeah, they all have different functions, and they're all pretty useful. So just like your captain is your first specialist.
I see. Okay. Oh, what happened? Oh,
sorry. No, I just took a drink of coffee.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So your captain. What was it? What's the name of the person?
Yeah, captain is the leader of your company. So everybody starts with the captain that's set to their company, and they provide some ability, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then and then you get engineers. Engineers also can be your captain, and your engineer can be used over and over throughout the course of the game. Once you use them, they flip down, and then after you get to certain points, you administrate your company, they refresh and flip back up. Surveyors are like one-time use. You flip them over. They do some big power, but they only get to do it once per game. But it can really be a game changer.
Ooh, a literal game changer.
Yeah. Last one, station masters are permanent. They just continue to give you their effects throughout the game. You could use them every single turn if you want to. Usually they give you big discounts on things.
Yeah. Oh, okay. They make it cheaper to do certain actions in the game, for example?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, a lot of them do. Others give you other abilities. Like one lets you transform goods in your network into mana, for example. Different things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I have one big question about this. It's like, what was the thing that made it click? Like, I remember you saying something along the lines of like how most of the time there's a thing that makes the game click for you. In this case, what was it?
I think that the aha moment for the development of this, at least for me, and Trey might have different moments because he was working on a lot earlier than I was. But the thing that I was like, oh yeah, that's cool, was when we decided to use the the engine board with the slottable engines. You'd always been able to customize your kind of engine grid, but once we had this character that moves from left to right along your track, and then you activate the things under them, and you're building up this kind of rondelle of actions, that was when it really clicked, and I said, "Oh, this is something that's pretty unique. This is something that's going to surprise people and make them want to play again."
Okay, so when you, I just realized that you literally get an engine going. I'm so mad.
Yeah. It's an
I'm
engine
so
building
mad.
game.
Oh my gosh, I'm so mad. I'm so mad right now. Oh my gosh.
Why? I mean, it's
No, because
it's just a pun.
I mean,
Don't worry too
yes,
hard about
it still makes me mad. It doesn't change this fact. In a good way. I'm mad in a good way. Is that possible? I'm mad in a good way.
Not in like the scientist way, but in the like
Like that. In that way.
mad, and they thought I was mad.
Oh my gosh. Alright, so okay. So I think that's really fun. I can't wait to play some Imperial. I actually haven't even played the game. So what would you recommend to me, somebody who wants to play Imperial but has not played it?
Well, I would say download the rulebook, which is linked below this thing, and also the Tabletop Simulator module. Subscribe to that, which is also linked below this thing. Then you and your friends can get on Tabletop Simulator, read the rules, and play the game.
Is it okay to stream this, Brad?
Yeah, sure.
Heck yes. Alright, so I should probably try to get the stream going for this. It'd be a fun game to play.
It would. As long as you realize, there is still a little bit of development ongoing. So all components not final, but yeah, it's available and it's pretty good. It's in a great state right now.
Yeah, and so
you're
telling me not to play Gesselheim.
No, we're working on Gesselheim. They're getting better.
Is the one in the mod usable?
Yeah, it's usable.
All right, good to know. Okay, so that pretty much does it for Brad's choice.
For our pipeline question. So now let's talk about the next segment, which I like to call Marco's Choice, because Marco chooses 3 of the 99 questions that we get every week, and then he comes up with a new and creative way to insert them into your ears, thus worming their way into your brain, where they take root and turn you into a Marco-esque sort of zombie of questioning. Anyway, so Marco, go ahead and let's start Marco's Choice.
I'm so proud. Everybody, welcome to the 99 question segment, where we pseudo make magical statements that subconsciously make Brad make that original intro that he just did 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, you could take the credit for that intro, Marco. I became a Marco zombie.
Yes.
Thus I was able to make a Marco intro.
Yeah, so you became a Brawl Z. That's what they're called.
Yep.
Marco zombies are called Brawl Zs. Welcome to the 99 question segment, where we take some questions. Brawlin'! Where we take some questions from the community and answer them on podcast. Contrary to what Brad said, we do not have 3 questions this week. We have 2 because they're both really, really long questions. So, yeah. So technically, if we look at it, it's actually like 5 questions. So you're not gonna get We're not.
This is like the bulk economy of 99 questions.
Yeah, I guess. So, let's start it off with question number 1, which actually has 3 questions inside. How about that?
Yeah, it's like the Matryoshka doll of questions.
Is that how you pronounce it? Matryoshka doll?
I'm not really Russian, so I don't know.
That's true. All right, number 1. Can the 2 of you talk a bit about fighting games or fighting video games? How do your impressions or interests change after Exceed and BattleCon? Are certain games looked to for inspiration going forward?
Yeah. Well, let's see. I like fighting video games. How about you, Marco?
I do like fighting video games. But there's a big difference between me liking them and me being good.
Yes, that's true. That's also true for me.
Very big difference, because I am Brad. I am bad at these games.
Oh, Marco, bad at video games. Why are you so bad at video games, Marco?
Hey, come on, man.
Anyway, let's see. I have to say that I really enjoy the 2D.
Did I lose you?
I like BlazBlue quite a lot.
Brad.
I like Uniel quite a lot. Street Fighter 5 and 4, they're okay. But I really like the tightness of the 2D fighters. The way that the hitboxes are very well defined, the way that characters move without startup in a lot of cases, that kind of thing. And I mean, you get some of that in 3D fighters, but I don't know. I guess I also I like a game, especially a game like Unial, and Blaze Blue's kind of like this too, where hitboxes are very large and well defined, so that it's really clear what the ranges of your attacks are, what area you're threatening. Whereas in like Street Fighter, a single step can make such a big difference on what attacks are viable and which ones aren't. In these more 2D fighters, the hitboxes are so large that the difference between being hit by like a punch and a sword slash is a lot more noticeable.
I see. Yeah.
Maybe I'm just myopic in that way, but I like having bigger, more defined range zones.
I think that goes a lot for like game clarity, right? Like I was watching this series of YouTube videos called Abby-torials, and they talk about animations and hitboxes in fighting games, and they were talking about how animations do a really, 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 really big job at selling your fighting game and making it readable for players. Though most of the time they just spend like 20 minutes talking about how Injustice's animations suck. So, I mean, yeah. Anyway,
there's not much argument there, but yeah.
Yeah. I think for me on my hand, it's like my interest for fighting games has always been like I like fighting games, but it's just that I've never really been good at them, and I often feel very discouraged when playing them. And then until I got into BattleCon and Exceed, I realized that maybe it's not necessarily that I get discouraged or I'm really bad at fighting games. It's just that my reaction times are kind of slow. Because I realized that, the core of a fighting game, like you get good at fighting games to do one thing, and then that's to get to the point where it becomes the Yomi factor, right? Like where you try to read opponents.
You want to reach that skill cap to where it's just you and your opponent, caught in this dynamic circle.
Exactly. And that's what BattleCon does, right? That's what BattleCon is. It essentially destroys the barrier of execution so that it gets to the point wherein it literally is just you and your opponent reading each other. And then I realized that maybe it's not necessarily my biggest misgiving for having poor reaction times or poor execution or hand speed. So my interests have changed in terms of fighting games. I've like gravitated towards like easier to execute fighting games. One fighting game that comes to mind was Rising Thunder. That was a really, really good one. I'm sad it's dead. Yeah, because what was that? Rising Thunder is basically a fighting game that plays like a MOBA, right? So like all your specials are mapped to buttons on your keyboard. So you don't have to execute them with motions. Instead, like, you want
like a skill bar sort of.
Yeah, you want a DP, you press Q. That's it. So getting rid of that execution barrier made that game way more fun for me. And I think that BattleCon was a huge influence as to why I started adopting those kinds of fighting games. So thank you to BattleCon and the amazing creator who made it. I hope...
Oh, please. Not.
Oh, wait. You made it. I forgot. Oopsie.
Shush, Marco. Stop being like that.
All right.
As far as like certain games to inspiration, I do have to say, like, in praise of Unial, that they have one of the best tutorials that I've ever played in a fighting game. And so playing that, I really kind of want to make the mechanics in my game crisper and cleaner and more well-defined. So that's one of my inspirations, I think, is the tutorial mode for Under Night. Quite good.
I see. Huh. I think one thing that draws a lot of inspiration from fighting games for me... how do I explain this? But like, I think when I look at games like BattleCon, and now specifically games like Killer Instinct 2016, I think, or 2015, is that the addition of unique abilities is really, really good. I really like that concept. In board games, it's easy because it's like you what do you call that? You abstract like the character's fighting style into the unique ability, right? But in Killer Instinct, they essentially all had unique abilities. It's just what do you call this? It's not even that it was thinly veiled, but literally every character in Killer Instinct has a unique ability because the way they can combo is different fundamentally from every other character in the game.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right? So
and, but if you really like those, Blaze Blue is the game because Blaze Blue everybody really has another UA like in a bigger sense. Like each character has their own kind of gauge that they're using with different mechanics associated with it, and all kinds of stuff like that.
I guess Injustice counts too because they literally have a special power button that you press that's their unique ability, right? I mean, like even the most recent Street Fighter V has like the V trigger.
V trigger, yeah. So I mean, I think UAs in fighting games it's because otherwise, what is your character? Just a bunch of like hitboxes and hurt boxes.
What is a character but a miserable pile of hurt boxes?
Oh, wow, nice. I think that's got to be your lead quote for this one.
Oh my gosh, yes, excellent. Okay, Brad, let's move on to the next question. I think this one's gonna take up a lot of our time. The Dice Tower recently put up a video of best games designed by D. Brad Talton Jr. What are your thoughts on the list? Are you guys surprised at what games Tom placed where? How about some of the more obscure titles on the list? And in case you guys didn't know, here's the list. I'll read it out for you. And number 10 is Exceed. Number 9 is Infinity Dungeon. Number 8 is Blades of Legend. Number 7 is Kill the Overlord. Number 6 is 7-Card Slugfest. Number 5 is Disc Duelers. Number 4 is Noir. Number 3 is Pixel Tactics. Number 2 is Millennium Blades. And number 1 is, of course, BattleCon. So what do you think of the list, Brad?
Well, I should say that I make it a policy not to comment on the opinions of reviewers because their job is to have opinions and my job is to make games. My personal ranking of games I've done would be a little bit different than this.
I see. Okay, I just want to know what's your number 1.
But the game that I've played the most that I made is probably Exceed. While I think that most of these games are really good. There are a few that I would be like, and also, first of all, this list is not like the 10 best games that Brad has ever made. This is the 10 games Brad has ever made because I don't think there are any that didn't make this list. I don't think there's an 11th game. I think
there's Power Play, there's Mystic Imperium, there's Variant Souls.
There is Mystic Imperium and Variant Souls. I didn't write Power Play. That's John Parmalee's game.
Oh, that's true.
But then, like games like Argent is by Trey. Imperial is by Trey. So my next big game, Seventh Cross, is the most recent game I've made since Millennium Blades. So I really only make like one big game every year and a half or so.
It's okay. You're like James Cameron. It takes you a while, but when you come out with a club banger.
I see. Well, anyway, but I would say Exceed is the game that I played the most. And while it's not as technical as some of these other games, the accessibility of it makes it so much higher in my mind.
Okay.
I think that's the real advantage. It's like it can't be pure gameplay. You have to think about the accessibility of the game. You have to think about the ease of teaching the game, the ability to distribute the game. How easy is it to get a box of this game into somebody's hands? And that's one reason that Pixel Tactics has done so well. I don't think that Pixel Tactics is my best design ever, but it is my cheapest design ever, and so it's the one that most people know.
Yeah, that's true.
So, so making your games accessible to folks and getting them into people's hands is a big factor in this. I
see. Yeah, I think that's definitely true. Ironically, my friends and I played a lot of BattleCon, but also because of that, it gated whatever. It was the gateway for us to get into your other games. Specifically your first Duelist mini library that had Pixel Tactics, the Prime Pixel Tactics along with it.
Yeah, the original one.
Yeah. So I think it was one of my favorite games there. I forgot the name. It's Trap Master.
Master Plan.
Master Plan.
Master Plan is not on this list. That surprises me because I'm pretty sure Master Plan is consistently rated above Blades of Legend and Infinity Dungeon.
Yeah, Master Plan was amazing, and I think one of the best mechanics in Master Plan, to me, I know that other games have probably used this mechanic before, but I never realized that you could measure things using cards. This was the first board game,
Oh,
card
yeah.
game I had that would measure things using cards and would measure
Yeah.
ranges based on like the long or short side of a card, and like that
Yeah,
blew my
I actually
mind.
got the idea from the old Pirates card game.
Oh,
with the little
really?
Punch out assembly, like you can assemble the ships, they punch out. That was the one where I was like, that was the first game I played that used that measuring system, and I thought it was really cool to easily and quickly make your table into a game area. You just use a card, long edge, short edge, and those are your movement ranges.
That was so good. Oh man, that was so
It's
good.
it's a great mechanic.
Yeah. And it was really cool because like wherever you were physically essentially fundamentally changed that game, right? Like because depending on what surfaces you had to play on, it would change the dimensions of the table.
Sometimes we would put like other game boxes on the table to create height differences that you could jump up and down.
Oh, that's so cool. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Oh, I always played on a flat surface. Oh, so many dimensions. I love Master Plan. Great game.
Yeah, we need to bring that back at some point. Like, we actually did a complete sequel to Master Plan. It's just that I've been doing all these other games recently, and I haven't had a chance to publish more of my own. But we're slowing down on designer games this year so that I can publish some of the games that I want to make. So I'm hopefully this list of games by Brad Tom will get longer this year.
So, okay. I'm really happy about that. I love it. Okay. Oh wow, that didn't take as long as I expected it to. Brad, do you want to do one more or nah?
No, I think that's good. I mean, we've jabbered a lot about all kinds of stuff today. So I think we're at a good length for this episode. Let's just pick it up next time.
Brad, the next thing you're gonna say is let's end this episode.
Let's end this episode.
Ha ha ha!
Nani? We're so bad. We're the worst. We're absolutely the worst, Marco. Why is anybody still listening to this podcast this many episodes in?
Because they love us.
This is so bad. All right.
All right.
Well, thank you guys for listening into the podcast. It was a great time. I had a great time. I think Marco had a great time. I think that I hope that you had a great time.
I'm sure your earphones had a great time. Yeah, we'll see you in the next one.
So hit us up with some more questions. We'll tell you about how development is ongoing for our upcoming projects, and look forward to talking to you then.
All right, as usual, this has been me, your host, Marco DeSantos, also known as Mechanic Critic, also known as M&M Kami, also known as Random Asian
Otherwise.
Guy. Also known as Otherwise. And with me has been my amazing co-host, and always the ever-amazing...
Too many amazings. It's just Brad. It's been me. It's been Brad. Yep.
All right, Brad Talon Jr., and without much else to say... Don't forget your special action, and thank you, World of Indians. Thank you, and good night.
Happy gaming.